Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week of Razor Sharp Picks. My name is Joe, and to my immediate right or left, I don't know how any of this works anymore, is Ryan. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. It's football weather now.
It's football weather. This is the first week of the NFL season. We're getting some snow in the forecast, and it's snowing pretty hard in the game between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Chat is open. If you guys come in here, want to chat, hang out a little bit, please be sure to leave a message. But Ryan, listen, I'm excited. I'm excited. 11 weeks into the season, I finally have a plus week. I can't be upset about that. It could be 2 units. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many units it is. I'm happy. And you finished in the plus column too. So a good week overall when it comes to if anyone's tailing us for our parlays or our picks. If people are telling me still at this point in the season, I feel really bad for them. Like they just have no idea what's
But
coming.
but if they just started following you
Right.
last week, it's the perfect time to
It's the
start
perfect
following
time to
Joe.
start.
He's
Yeah,
getting
because
ready to go on a heater.
I'm ready to go on a heater. This hit my Thursday night picks 2 weeks in a row. Thursday night parlays 2 weeks in a row now. This one's not looking so great, but hey, anything can happen. We still have over a quarter and a half to go. And Cleveland's winning this one 10-3. And we'll talk about how we picked that game. But before we talk about the game that's going on right now, let's look at how we did last week. Again, as I said, I finally finished up a couple units, but for some odd reason, still down for the season. You would think that those 2 units would get me back in there, but hey, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you have
That's
to
right.
start somewhere. And I start with up plus 2.43 units last week. And again, at any point I can go on a heater here, and there's still plenty of weeks to go. And we know this as people who have bet for seasons on end now. All you need is that one heater, right? You get a couple weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden it looks much better than the season might have initially started out. But for you, you've been pretty much on the plus side of things all season long. Again, a good week for you, plus 5.5 units, putting you up plus 8.5 units for the season. You see how we did, Ryan? You finished double digits, both straight up and against the spread. I finished 8-6, but again, I look at that season overall. I'm just like, you know what, looking good. And we talk about tailing people. If you tail us for or against the spread picks, you're looking pretty good too.
Yeah, it was really really strong week last week. I hit both of my parlays. I hit one of my little escalator with Joe Mixon. He got to 100 yards easy in that one. And anytime you can finish in double digits against the spread with picks, you're doing pretty good. So happy for last week. And Joe, you stayed on the plus side of 500, which is always what you want to do. You want to win more than you lose. And then those straight up picks, man, 106 and 60 and 109 and 57 on the season. That's pretty solid because we started off rough when we were
Right.
dialing it in, and now it feels like we got a pretty good handle on how things are going in this NFL season.
Yeah, and just when it looks like we have a handle on it, it looks like we have a couple things we disagree on this week. But again, as I was talking to you before we went live, and it changes week to or year to year. We've mentioned playtime on this channel. Home teams used to be getting about 3 points from Vegas. So when you were doing your against the spread picks, you would calculate that in. And like right now, we're looking at a week where 13 games, 8 of the home teams are underdogs. And so when you talk about the difference between a 3 point spread and now, like you said, Vegas gets like a point and a half, it's a little bit different. But I look at and this game's a good example of that. You look at these home dogs, some bad weather now getting involved too, right? We have 2 games where wind gusts are going to be over 15 miles an hour, and it's going to be double digit winds the whole game. This is the first of those 2 games. And, things start changing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the snow's really coming down. It started, decent to start and weather to start, and now it's starting to get rough. But you see the Steelers, man, like they're built to win these types of football games, and Boswell just knocked one through to make it a one-score football game here, and all of a sudden, a touchdown, and you got a whole different ball game.
That's right. Yeah, 10-6 right now. And it's funny, as you were talking, I was watching Chris Boswell kick the field goal. And obviously, if you're there live, it's a little different. But as an official myself, I know what it's like to be at the bottom of the post looking up and looking for the ball on a clear night. I can't imagine what's like looking up there and be like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? It's Chris Boswell. It must have went in. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, because
Boswell from 28. It's good.
right,
Don't even watch it.
Because it's crazy going the way it's coming down right now. But yeah, it makes it a 10-6 game. Before we talk about that game, we do want to get into the bye weeks. 6 teams on a bye. I think there are 2 or 3 weeks with 6 teams on a bye, and that's the most for any week. You talk about our Buffalo Bills on a bye. And Ryan, we talk about momentum and when it's a good or bad week to have a bye. Personally, for the Buffalo Bills, even though they have momentum, hey, Spin, glad you're here. Browns up 2 possession. No, they're still up 1 possession. I don't understand that at all, but that's okay. Oh, because the Steelers haven't scored a touchdown in 7 quarters now, 8 quarters. So I get you, Spin. Hey, Daniel, good to see you as well. I look at this Bills team and I say, yeah, momentum's on their side. They've won 6 in a row, haven't lost at home yet this season. But at the same time, to be able to get a lot of these injured players back and to beat Kansas City and not just as a fan base, but as players of a team, be able to enjoy that win a little bit longer and then get back to business. Like, that's a good thing for me. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, late bye weeks are always kind of like a tough run up to the bye week, but they're welcome, and especially for a team like Buffalo, Matt Milano, you're going to see him against San Francisco. There's a chance that Keon Coleman's back, very good chance Dalton Kincaid's back. Like, all of a sudden, this Bills team coming off of a massive win against Kansas City, they're on it. They're playing really well right now, and now they get to take a break. Well, their upcoming opponent, San Francisco, gets to go play in the snow in Green Bay this weekend, and then come back across to the East Coast for a Sunday night football game with potentially a maybe 98% healthy Buffalo Bills football team. That is, going to be absolutely massive. And Spin, they didn't say he'd be back necessarily, but I'd be surprised. All accounts say that he's looked really good in practice. He kind of looks like he's full speed. I don't know if he's going to play the whole game, but I'd be surprised to see him inactive on Sunday night against the San Francisco 49ers. If you need him for a game, coming out of the bye week, San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey and that offense, I think it makes sense that they try to get him in there if they can, in certain packages maybe.
Right. Yeah, his 21-day window opened 2 weeks ago. So his 21-day window, I think, will be close to up by the time the San Fran game starts. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see him activated, let's say Friday. Then I'd be interested to see if they have him active for the 48-man roster or if he's one of the inactive players at that time. But I think
they have until December 4th. Is the deadline, right?
And
so
December 1st
technically they don't have to activate him for the San Francisco 49ers game, but they have to activate him by that week.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably play it by ear here coming out of the bye week.
Absolutely. What a catch. What a catch. The Browns getting back into scoring range. But again, in these conditions, nothing's taken for granted. So, and then you look, the Bengals will have to go on and run kind of like what the Buccaneers did a few years ago with Tom Brady in order to see their playoff chances. The Falcons, they're fighting for the NFC South. Other 3 teams, nothing really to worry about there. Really surprised we haven't heard of Doug Peterson being fired at this point, but that's another topic for another day. We'll see what the Jaguars side do. And again, with these late buys, it's kind of tough, right? We might as well ride it out by this point.
Sure. Why not?
But yeah, let's get into it. Thursday Night Football, we're watching it right now, is second and about 7 for the Browns as they're up 10-6 with a minute to go in the third quarter. 3.5-point favorites were the Pittsburgh Steelers coming into this game. At this point now, I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, Ryan, but I imagine that the Browns are actually now probably favored in the game, or at least close to it at this point, being up 10-6 late in the fourth quarter. The under's looking pretty good at this point in a 10-6 game, so I'm happy about that. But the money line, we both picked the Steelers, so see if they can make a comeback here.
Yeah, right now the Browns about a 78% win probability according to ESPN. Obviously that can change in a heartbeat when you've got a guy on the other side of the ball like TJ Watt who can kind of turn the game around by himself, and then a big play guy like George Pickens. And hey, field goal range isn't a gimme for Cleveland like it is for Pittsburgh, right?
Right.
Dustin Hopkins has struggled all season long.
Right.
And this is one where I'm not feeling great about the spread pick. I think you're probably in good shape there. I'm still feeling pretty good about the straight up pick though.
Right.
I still like Pittsburgh to finish this one off.
Yeah, Steelers close it out. You kind of have that trust in Mike Tomlin to do that, right? That's just these are the kind of games that they pull out. But that's how it's the end of the third quarter, 10-6, Cleveland still has the ball. But these are the type of games like Cleveland plays down to the competition so much it seems like that you really don't know what to expect. But that's what we have right now. We're in a AFC North division rivalry game, basically to a T, right? Like this is late November, early December football in the AFC North.
This is the perfect matchup to be the first snow game of the year, right? Like
absolutely,
like Pittsburgh, Cleveland,
something. Yep.
Yeah, it's like how the football gods designed football to look with these two teams.
That's right. And very interesting thing about Thursday night, and I believe this was the case as of 2 weeks ago. Every single Thursday from here on out, and next week you can say Friday for Black Friday. Yeah, every single Thursday from here on out, divisional matchups. Like that's what it is. So that's very interesting. I think they, even though I hate Thursday night football, if you're going to have a single game on prime time, that's a good way to do it. Make it divisional matchups so that way they have a little bit more intrigue in them. And you know that even the team that's 2-8 is going to fight for it. So good on the NFL for doing that. Going to Sunday, and again, 6 teams on the bye, which means we only have 13 games, no international games anymore this season, although did hear Roger Goodell say something about wanting to get a game in Ireland next year. We'll see if that happens. But we're going to talk about another divisional matchup, the Minnesota Vikings going to Chicago, playing the Bears. Another one that we see a little differently. We both see this one close, right? Covering a 3.5-point spread. I look at this Bears team. I still think they're an above average team, even though the record says 4-6. And the way they lost to Green Bay last week, I think they're going to stay at home and want to get that revenge game. And then the Vikings coming to town. When you talk about a team playing an average team playing back-to-back divisional matchups, you think, okay, they're probably going to split those. Lost the first one. Give me the Bears to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, the two good defenses, two offenses that are struggling. For this one, I like Chicago to keep it close, but I think Minnesota's got enough firepower to kind of overcome the average quarterback play that you've seen from Chicago. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones is playing good football right now. T.J. Hawkinson is about ready to come back. So their offense is going to start to pick up here in Minnesota. It's not going to struggle for too much longer. I like them to win this game.
Right, yeah, that's another thing. Past 2 weeks, Jaguars game 2 weeks ago, 4 field goals. Luckily, they were playing Jacksonville, so that's all you needed. And then last week, they seemed to struggle a little bit against Tennessee. So we'll see if those struggles continue. Obviously, that's what matters here, right? If the offense from Minnesota can get going, then we could easily see this game become a 10, 14-point game.
And Minnesota's got to keep pace with Detroit. They've got to keep pace with Detroit, and they've got to keep pace with the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers have a tough matchup this week. We'll get into that one in a little bit. But this is a game that, Minnesota, if they're looking at it and going, we got to keep pace with the Lions. They've got a, pretty easy matchup this week. Green Bay, this is an opportunity maybe for us to gain a game ahead of Green Bay. This is kind of like that, I've talked about it all season, right? Like I want to win versus a have to win. And I think the Vikings are in have to win this one mode.
Yep. Moving on to the next matchup at 1 o'clock, like you just talked about, Detroit Lions, maybe with an easier matchup this week. I'm not sure how easy this is going to be. I think the Colts try to keep this one on the ground. Don't know why I picked the over here. I'm probably thinking about this again. If the Colts are going to cover the spread, it's going to be a low-scoring game, in my opinion. But you look at the Colts against the spread, 8-3. So even though they're 5-6, they're keeping games close. And so that's why at home, give me the Colts to cover the spread. Lions are going to win this game. And, I'd be more surprised if the Lions lost this game than would be if the Lions, don't cover the spread or do cover the spread. The Lions are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions are an absolute buzzsaw right now, right? I mean, they're just dominating everybody. They clearly look like they're the best team in football at this point in time. And Indianapolis, again going to Anthony Richardson. He played decent last week. Nothing really special, but this is a Lions team that I just think is just overpowering for a lot of football teams,
Oh, yeah.
and they're getting ready for a matchup here coming up in the next couple of weeks with the Buffalo Bills. And is this a look ahead game for them? They've got the Bears on Thanksgiving this season, so maybe that's the trap game for them leading into the Bills game. But I could see this one being a potential trap game. I just think that they're too big right now.
Yeah. So the Browns did just cover a 4th down with Nick Chubb and then a pass inside the, I assume, 5-yard line. It looks like the goal line's close, but again, you can't really see. So that's in the 4th quarter. It looks like the Browns are trying to make it a real 2-possession game, not just a 4-point game. Moving on to the next matchup on Sunday, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins at home against the New England Patriots. And again, I don't know why this week, and I told myself last week I was going to avoid doing this. We talked earlier a few weeks ago about the number of teams that not only won straight up but cover the spread. And only like 16 teams or something like that cover the spread but didn't win the game. And here we are in a situation where I'm again picking the underdog to cover a spread but lose the game. I think this New England defense does have enough to keep this one close. Again, another divisional matchup. A lot of people high on Miami right now. Tua back, their offense is looking pretty good, but I still think this New England defense can keep this one close. I believe they kept it close the first time these two teams played as well. So give me Miami to win this one, but give me New England to keep this one close.
Yeah, I think Miami's finding their stride right now with Tua back. He's knocked the rust off. They're playing really good football. Devon Achane is playing really well. Jalen Waddle's playing really good. We haven't really seen Tyreek Hill do a ton yet for Miami, and that I think doesn't really bode well for future matchups because he's going to get his at some point in time here. And I'm not convinced how good New England is defensively. I think Drake May gives them a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, but I don't know if it's enough to keep pace with Miami. Miami's in win now mode. I mean, every game from here on out they have to win if they're going to make the playoffs, and it's here at home against the Patriots. This is a game they got to have.
Listen, let Miami fight their way to the 7th seed and go to Buffalo as the reward. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let Miami get the 7th seed and Bills be the 2 seed. Let us whoop up on them another time. I'm good with that. But you look at the Miami Dolphins right now, last 2-3 weeks, played some light competition. They still have a lot of tough games down the road. So it's going to get a lot tougher for Miami here to try to continue on this run. But for right now, all you can do is win against the teams you're playing now. So, beat New England, you're 5-6, and then people might start talking. Going on to the next matchup for the schedule here, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is one we see the same way. Don't know how the Lions even stay, or the Giants stay in this one. With their backup quarterback, just complete disarray there in New Jersey with the Giants. So give me Tampa Bay to cover the spread to win this game, and I like the under here as well.
Yep, I'll take Tampa Bay to cover. I'll take Tampa Bay to win. Oddly enough, though, we're going to see when we get into the props and parlays. I do like a couple pieces of this New York passing attack this week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3rd worst in the league right now against the pass. Giants are going to be playing from behind, and hey, let the young kids sling it, right? And Tommy DeVito might as well, and he's got a pretty good wide receiver to throw the football too. So I like a part of that passing attack here coming up in the props and parlays. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay wins this one. This one's too easy to pick almost. This one didn't take me any time at all.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think that this one, and of course, when we say that, we're going to see the Giants be that team that just
the Giants will win by 2 touchdowns.
Right, exactly. Giants are going to mess everything up. There was just a pass into the end zone to, I think it was Njoku, wide open, drops it. So it's now 4th and goal, still 10-6. They're going to go for it from the 2. So give me a second round. We can move on to the next matchup.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, number 34 goes in motion. Watson looking to throw. Not Watson, I'm sorry. And he's
Jameis.
Jameis with the rushing touchdown to give them a
just like you drew it up, man.
Lead. Absolutely. Who didn't have a Week 12 rushing touchdown for Jameis Winston on their bingo card? It wasn't Joe Spin said, yeah. All right, so moving on, and a lot of divisional matchups going on too. We talked about the home matchups, a lot of divisional matchups, and divisional matchups tend to be a little bit tighter than your average game. So now you go to this Washington Commanders team needs to keep pace in just the NFC playoff push. I don't think they're good enough to keep pace with the Eagles. But if you look at the NFC, it's going to be tough. The top 7 seeds in the NFC are going to earn it, right? When you talk about the Rams, you talk about the Niners, you talk about the Cardinals, you talk about the Commanders, you talk about the Vikings, the Packers. There's a lot of teams who are not going to win their division, but are going to be right there. Washington has to keep winning in order to be one of those teams. Playing a far inferior Dallas team without Dak, give me Washington to kind of win this one and win this one big.
Yeah, Dallas has shown absolutely no fight. Some of their players look like they don't even want to be out there anymore. Right. And Washington's good. They're fighting for the division. They're fighting for a wild card spot. I think this one was another one that didn't take too long for me at all to pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Moving on to the next game. And again, a lot of good games on this week. This one,
not one of them.
Not one of them. Just not, I tried to give Carolina the benefit of the doubt and look into it, right? Like I looked into it, when KC loses games over this Patrick Mahomes era, they don't exactly always bounce back, right? Like it's not like, oh, this is a bounce back game in an easy spot. They're going to win by a lot. But this Carolina team just is not a team that I think can pull this off. You watch in seasons past, a lot of times Kansas City's coming off a loss. It's either to a divisional team or after a loss, they're playing a divisional team. And those are always tougher matchups. This isn't one of those situations. Kansas City, it's going to be cold in Kansas City. They get to go to Carolina where it's a little bit warmer. They're going to appreciate that. And I think they come out guns blazing and they win this game pretty easily as well.
Yeah, I think this is another one. I mean, the Panthers aren't a very good football team right now. Mm-hmm. They're kind of in sneaky tank mode, right, trying to fight their way to the top of the draft. And this is a game that I think Kansas City they have to bounce back here. They've got to bounce back. They've got to put up some points. That's why I like the over in this one as well. Mm-hmm. I think Kansas City's going to come out and try to show off some firepower that maybe they didn't have against Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Spin said, the Browns did get a 2-point conversion, make it 18-6. Yeah, it looks like the Browns might just flat out win that one. Obviously, it's still 12 and a half minutes to go, but in these conditions, scoring 2 touchdowns, it's going to be tough. Be tough. Moving to the next matchup, again, Kansas City, we have winning that one. And, and we can talk about this a little bit here, Ryan. Obviously, we could do it in another episode. I still think Kansas City's on the fast track to the number 1 overall seed, right? Like you look at Buffalo's remaining schedule, going to LA to play the Rams, going to Detroit to play the Lions, still some tough competition out there, and they are still a game back. It's going to be tough. I know the Chiefs don't have the easiest schedule with the Chargers, Broncos, and Steelers all still on their schedule, but I still give them the fast track to the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I've underestimated how good this Buffalo Bills team is all season. I really have. I mean, I thought this was going to be a season that they were going to kind of do like a soft reset, get the Diggs contract off their books, kind of see what they had in some of the younger players, see how far Josh can carry them, and he's only carried them to 9 wins, right? Like, so I mean, this is a good team. They're getting healthy at the right time. Late bye week is really nice. Kansas City's entering really the meat of their schedule, and all the pressure is now on. I mean, they don't have the margin for error that they had they won this game against Buffalo. Right. All the pressure is now on Kansas City. The Chargers fighting for a playoff spot. The Broncos fighting for a playoff spot. By the time the Bills and Rams play, the Rams could be out of it. I mean, they could be completely out of it. They could be shutting guys down. They could be trying to get looks at their young quarterback. They could, there's a lot of things that go into play, right? Buffalo's got Detroit on their schedule, and that's really all that they've got that worries me in the remaining schedule. Whereas, even that Christmas Day game, like last year, we saw the Raiders got it done last year again on Christmas Day, and I don't think Kansas City's got a cakewalk at all. I could absolutely see 3 more losses on Kansas City's record, in which case Buffalo can afford to drop 2 more and still catch them in the standings.
Yeah, and before today's game, and again, it's not over. If the Steelers weren't playing today, I would yell from the rooftops. And let's not forget about the Steelers, because the Steelers only have 2 losses right now, too. Yeah. But a loss to Cleveland here would be very hard for them to swallow, I think, just where they are in the standings. They would still be up on the Ravens, with another game to play against the Ravens. But yeah, this would be a tough pill to swallow as far as trying to get that number one overall seed. Speaking of division leaders right now in the AFC, here's one that has kind of been forgotten about with the injury situation. We look at Nico Collins back now for the Texans, and the Texans are at home against the Titans. This is one of those matchups, unlike a lot of them this week. This is a divisional matchup where the home team is favored. And so for that reason, give me the Texans to cover the spread. Give me the Texans to score a lot of points and the Titans not to score many at all.
Yeah, no, I mean this one's easy.
Yeah,
the Titans are awful. Titans are awful. Nice run there by Justin Fields, by the way.
It was a nice run by Justin Fields.
Tiptoeing down the sidelines, making a nice gain and putting Pittsburgh into a situation here. And interesting that they've gone to Fields. I like it because of the weather and the snow. You need the legs. You need a guy who can run the football. But at the same time, there you go. Right at the same time, when he's out there, you know what he's going to do. So it makes it a little bit easier to defend. But yeah, I mean, this game itself, Tennessee and Houston, this one's an easy one. Houston, I think is going to score early. They're going to go up 10 points, and they're not going to look back.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And again, just one of the main divisional matchups. No, go ahead. Move on to the next divisional matchup. You look at this one. We see this one differently, and I commented a lot last week during the Bills game about how impressive Bo Nix has been this season, at least in my eyes. Like, he has looked, and not just like you see the improvement right now. Since last Sunday, I've been able to watch this game. With the NFL package, I go back, watch the game in like 45 minutes or whatever. So I was able to watch the Denver game last week, and it's so impressive what he's done so far. But Las Vegas at home, to me, is a completely different animal, even though they are 1-3 at home. They kept it close against Kansas City at home. Some of these games that you thought would be blowouts, they keep close at home. Give me the Raiders to pull off the upset here and beat the Broncos straight up.
Yeah, I'm gonna save the Raiders upset for a few weeks from now, when they play Kansas City on Christmas Day. But
because they're always due for one, right? Like they're kind of like the Browns, where it's like they might be bad, but they always get one somehow, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Bo Nix is slinging it, man. He's playing really good football right now. He seems to be finding his stride. I like the Broncos to win this one, and I like them to cover. They're 8-3 against the spread on the season, and the Raiders are abysmal, man. The Raiders are in the running for the worst team in football right now, and they're staring down the very real possibility of Shadur Sanders coming to Las Vegas, and I think that's going to be tough for them down the stretch to pass up, and you might see some easy football here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's fine. We both see the under, so that'd be a low-scoring game at least, right?
Yeah.
So moving on to the next, and these are, again, the 4:00 games, as you could see there. Ryan, I want to thank you. I haven't done this publicly. Ryan does a great job every single week putting these together. These spreadsheets, does a great job, so I appreciate that. And they look so clean when he does it. Believe me, when I try downloading them, they look like a hot mess. So glad that he does that for us. And we talked about this game earlier. We can talk about now the Green Bay Packers, Lambeau Field. Like you said, the possibility of snow during this game, Sunday evening or afternoon into evening. The 49ers, must win, but I think this is also a must win for the Green Bay Packers as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are at like 7-3, and they're third in their division right now. Like, that's how good that's how good that NFC North is, and San Francisco at 5-5. Again, they're right there in that divisional race. Christian McCaffrey's back. Now the concern is, you hear today that Brock Purdy pulled himself out of practice after throwing a few balls. So what's that look like heading into a snow-covered football game? What looks like is going to happen in Green Bay? I like Green Bay in this one. I think they have to win. I think they are, of any team, not named Buffalo, when it comes to home, November, December football, like they're built for that type of football game with Josh Jacobs, with Jordan Love. I like Green Bay in this one.
Yeah, and even if Brock Purdy plays in rough conditions, he's never been a guy who's had a rocket arm, right? So even if he plays with a semi or sore shoulder, like that really is going to limit what he can do overall. The Steelers do have the ball inside the 10-yard line. It's going to be second and goal, so they are trying to fight back with the 2-point conversion. It takes out a field goal in this situation, being down 18-6. You need 2 touchdowns now. So we'll see if they're able to get it into the end zone. Moving on, I think we're on the Sunday night football game, and I'm actually
I got one more 4 o'clock game.
Okay, one more 4 o'clock game. My apologies. But listen, these are some great stretches of games. You talk about these 4 o'clock games, and as Bills fans, we get to enjoy all of it, right? Because we don't have to worry about our team playing this week. You talk about the San Francisco Green Bay game, this game, and then the Sunday night and Monday night games. A couple of really good games here. This one, I expect a high-scoring slugfest. I'm really looking forward to this game. In fact, we'll get into our parlays a little bit, and this game is big for me. But yeah, I think we both see this one going the same way. Arizona, to me, is going in the right direction, and Seattle's kind of just meandering along, if that makes sense.
Oh, there's a touchdown by Jalen Warren, making a one-score game. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the Cardinals are number 1 in the division right now, right? I mean, they're winning the NFC West. Seattle, yeah, they're trending in the wrong direction. I mean, DK Metcalf, was back last week, kind of making his impact felt. He's back again. This Cardinals defense is not great, so this might turn into a shootout here. But if that's the case, I still like Arizona because I think they've got more weapons up and down the offense. And the close game that the Seahawks won last week against San Francisco on a last-second Geno Smith touchdown run, that those types of wins don't usually carry to the next week. You usually see a little bit of a letdown from an emotional standpoint. So I'll take Arizona in this one to maintain hold of the division.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. So now, moving on to the Sunday night football game, you have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling all the way to LA, playing the Rams. And the Rams, this is a must-win. We just talked about it with the divisional matchup, the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. They need to keep pace because you're looking at the teams. They're behind a wild card. They're 2 games back of them in a lot of situations. Like we said about Green Bay, you're sitting there at 7-4 or whatever, and you're third in your division. So they need to keep winning. If the Rams want to make the playoffs, or at least give themselves the best chance to make the playoffs, these are the type of games at this point of the season they need to win. And they are getting healthy at the right time, kind of like the Bills are. See them putting up some points, and don't know if the Eagles can hang up that many points against this team.
Yeah, East Coast teams going west, that tends not to bode super well. This game's going to feel like an 11:30 at night football game for Philadelphia. That's something that, again, I mean, it's one that doesn't typically travel too well. Philadelphia's playing good football though right now, and the Rams are hit or miss. They've got to try to keep pace here. Luckily they've got a team in San Francisco that's ahead of them that's going to Green Bay. We talked about that game already. You've got 2 divisional rivals that are playing, so one of them is going to lose. So this is an opportunity for them to kind of get back into that picture here. As of right now, they're 4th in the division. So the Rams, I think have to win this football. They want to, kind of stay in front in the AFC or in the NFC East. I like the Rams in this one though, but I could certainly see the Eagles kind of coming in and just blowing the doors off of LA.
Yeah, and not only that, you look at the Eagles. They'll also know the result of the Detroit game, which we expect Detroit to win if they want to have any fantasy. If the number 1 overall seed, they have to keep pace, and you can't do that if you lose and go down 2 games with only a handful of games remaining. So then moving on to the Monday night football game, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. And I just found this out today. So their parents celebrate their anniversary on Monday. So they will not be at the game on Monday. Jim and John Harbaugh's parents celebrating their anniversary and not going to be at the game.
Best way not to have to show favorites.
That's right. Best way not to have to show favorits. You could always do it what Mama Kelsey did, right, and do the divided jersey or whatever. But you can't have a jersey for a coach. That'd be a little weird. So, but I think this is again one of those situations. I think this would be a great game, and I think that the Chargers are playing really well right now. But this has to be. If you're Baltimore and you still think you have a shot at the AFC North, with which they do, I think this has to be a must-win, especially if you watch the Browns beat the Steelers. you got to come into this one thing, and that you just got a gift, and you need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego's playing really good defensive football right now. Justin Herbert has taken his game to another level. He's playing really well. I think the difference here, Justin Herbert's playing really good football, and the Ravens are absolutely abysmal over the last few games against the pass. They have zero answers, and Justin Herbert is just absolutely spinning the ball right now. So I like Los Angeles to win this football game. I think they sneak up on Baltimore. Baltimore's kind of in disarray a little bit after that loss last week. And they're running into a team that's sneaky good. Like this is another team that I have underestimated how good they are all season, and all of a sudden they're 7-3, and you're like, how the heck did they get to 7-3? It's they don't even have anybody on offense. They got Justin Herbert and a bunch of dudes, right? Like,
right.
But they're finding ways to win football games, and they're playing good defense. So this is a game I think that's going to give Baltimore a lot of trouble.
Yeah, if you remember Week 1, I believe this is accurate, Ryan. You can quote me on this or fact check me. Week 1, didn't we both pick the Giants at home to beat the Chargers?
We did, yes.
Yeah, like that's what happened. Like, and now we look up and we're like, oh yeah, the Steelers might have just got fumble recovery. I did not see who forced the fumble. Hopefully it was T.J. Watt on a strip
They're calling him. They did. They did give it to him.
Yeah, they did give it to him. So, and we'll see why I just said that on these picks and parlays. Browns fumbling the game away. That seems like a Browns thing to do. So if you go to our parlays, and guys, listen, this has been a really tough show for me already. It's only 35 minutes in. If you can't tell, voice is hoarse. I'm really happy the Bills have a bye this week. Like, this is a perfect week for me. Drink some tea with honey in it and get ready for the stretch. Those guys are getting healthy. I'm getting healthy. These late bye weeks don't just affect the players. That's all.
Joe, admittedly, so it's New York State football right now, right? New York State is in high school football is in the midst of their state tournament now,
right.
And the regional tournament, which is Section 5, which is Rochester area, Section 6, which is the Buffalo area. Section 5 and Section 6 are playing in what's called the Far West Regionals this weekend. All 5 games, Class A, Class AA, all the way down to Class D, are in Brockport, which is a mere 10-minute jaunt for me. So I'm calling this weekend between Friday night and Saturday 5 football games. I've got the Brockport State Bowl game on Saturday morning. Friday night, tomorrow night, I've got 2 games. I've got Class C and Class AA. And then Saturday we've got the Brockport game at noon. I'm doing that with Mario from hashtag the Brockport game at noon. 4:00 we're gonna have the Class B Far West Regional, and then at 7:00 is the Class A Far West Regional. So I am not looking forward to what my voice will sound like come Sunday morning. Got a thermos full of tea that I'm going to be bringing with me, and some lozenges to have as the games go on. So I'm feeling you, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one, but yeah, if you guys haven't, I've done it a few times. On your Twitter page, you always put up the Brockport games, right? So make sure you check those out. I always enjoy listening to you, Mario. I know you guys you can't see the Twitter chat or whatever, but until afterwards. But I always enjoy coming on there and kind of just heckling you guys a little bit and listening to you guys. It's really a good time. So you guys do a great job. But if you look at these picks again, starting my Thursday parlay, I was thinking Wilson just missed Pickens for a touchdown that would have put him over the 62 receiving yards, but that's okay. It is what it is at this point. Oh, you got him again? Oh. Pickens?
That is not Pickens.
That is definitely not Pickens.
Calvin Austin.
That's okay. Now that they got the lead, I can get that TJ Watt sack maybe.
And hey, I'm a field goal away, man, from a cover.
That's right. That's true. All of a sudden, this game is points are points aplenty. And you're definitely a field away from that.
I had the over in this one too. Sneaky over.
You did. So TJ Watt only with 1 tackle in this game. So I picked this. I picked TJ Watt to have 1 sack because since week 6 of 2020, every time TJ Watt has played against the Browns, he's got at least half a sack. And he only got half a sack 1 time. Every other time it's been 1. There was 1 game where he had 4. I'm like, okay, he's getting a sack, like just 1, and it hasn't happened yet. So apparently, I don't know what I'm doing. Gonna miss on this Thursday night, it looks like, but that's okay. Every once in a while, you miss sometimes. And then my lock, Travis Kelce, to have a comeback game, get that touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs getting in the end zone. I picked Montgomery last week, and he got in for me, picking Gibbs this week. and then James Conner in that Cardinals game, I think that he'll have plenty of opportunity to get into the end zone. So those are my 2 parlays for the week.
Yeah, so mine jumping in here, David Montgomery. I got an anytime touchdown. Indianapolis is 5th worst against the run over the last 3 games. I like Montgomery to punch one in this week. Bo Nix, I like him for two or more passing touchdowns over the last 4 games. Joe, the Raiders are giving up an average of 3 passing touchdowns per game. So I like Bo Nix for 2 on this one. And then the other team that's giving up 3 passing touchdowns per game this season, or actually right now, is the game that we talked about before, Tommy DeVito. I like him for 1 or more passing touchdowns in this game as well. So that's the first parlay: Montgomery anytime touchdown, Bo Nix for 2, DeVito for 1. And then you see I already hit 1 leg on my 1 unit play. No Bills play this week, obviously, as they're on bye week. So I had to cobble together an anytime touchdown parlay. Nick Chubb, who's already punched one in tonight. And I like Brian Robinson this week as well. Dallas isn't great against the run. I like Brian Robinson to punch one in for a little one unit 2 touchdown parlay play this week.
Yeah, it just reminded me that next week, Thanksgiving, I'll have 3 Thursday games to choose from for my parlay. So,
there you go.
My Thursday parlay could
maybe
be
1 leg from each game if
that's
you're
right.
feeling frisky.
There you go. Feel frisky. I didn't even look at who's playing next week. I know that all 3 games are like awful when you look at the records, but I haven't looked in a little bit.
Well, no, so you got So you'll have the Lions and the Bears, which isn't going to be too bad. The 4 o'clock is a snoozer. That one is going to be Cowboys Giants, which is woof. And then the night game, the nightcap, that one's going to be the Dolphins and the Packers. So another one that could be sneaky one.
Good. Yeah, it could be sneaky good. Because the Dolphins are better than their record with Tua, and so we'll see.
How spin. It is a little late to do the Nick Chubb anytime touchdown. The
too
goal
late
is to do this show on Wednesdays, so that tends to be when we finalize our picks. So unfortunately, I got this one in a little late.
Don't worry about it. You can't match any of my Thursday picks now, so it's cool. All right, and then you move to the props of the week. I'd like Jaden Daniels to put up a lot of yards in this one for some reason against, again, a Cowboy team that just doesn't seem like they want to be there half the time. So give me Jaden Daniels over 265 passing yards. Derrick Henry to bounce back. I think Baltimore remembers who they have this week and remembers to run the ball. It seems like every time they play the Steelers or the Chiefs, they just forget, like, hey, we should run the ball more. I don't know why that is, but not my problem. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. to have more receiving yards than DK Metcalf. Gonna have a little fun with that one. I did want to make mention, even though TJ Watt didn't get the sack today yet, this is the first time we're picking defense for any of our parlays, I believe, this year. So thought I'd give the defense some love. Give some love to these matchups where it's one player versus the other. Those are going to be fun as well. But those are my props of the week.
Yeah, so for mine, Justin Herbert, 250 or more passing yards. We talked about the Ravens over the last 3 games. They're allowing over 300 yards passing per game. So I like Justin Herbert, who's absolutely spinning the ball right now. I think he's playing really good football. I like him to get 250 passing yards. This week, Jahmyr Gibbs, 80 or more rushing yards. Indianapolis, 4th worst against the run over the last 3 games. They're allowing 164 yards per game over the last 4. I like Jahmyr Gibbs to get to 80 yards on that one. And Malik Neighbors, I like him for 80 or more receiving yards in this one. The Bucs are 2nd worst in the league right now against the pass. They're giving up almost 300 yards a game. Giants are going to come out and throw the ball with Tommy Cutlets, and hey, who's he going to throw the football to? I like Malik Neighbors. I think they're going to try and make a connection there and see what they've got heading into the offseason with Neighbors and DeVito. Obviously, DeVito's not the answer in New York, but that doesn't mean that Daboll's not going to try and salvage his job by winning some football games with DeVito and convince them that they've got themselves a quarterback. So I like those picks this week. Again, up 5.5 units last week, up to almost 9 units now on the season. So I like those props and parlays this week.
Remember, I'm up 2 units for the last week. I don't want to talk about the rest of the season, but last week I was up. So let's work on the positive. All right,
let's start somewhere, Joe.
Let's get back going. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day, so let's get this thing going. We'll see how it works out, and we'll let you guys all know next week. Next week again, get through the bye week for the Buffalo Bills, and then get ready for San Fran. Enjoy watching the rest of the Thursday night game. I'll probably be up watching it. Probably should go to bed, but I'm not going to do that. That's crazy talk right there. But Ryan, again, thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit and giving us your picks. And guys, again, in the comment section, if you haven't already, let us know who you're picking. Make sure you hit us up on socials, like this page, subscribe if you're not subscribed, all that good stuff. Thank you to Mr. Rogers Homes for sponsoring #sports. And guys, something very exciting that I want to promote right now. Paul and Mario getting back in the car, doing those car episodes for you.
I heard that they're back in the car on Sunday, so
back in the
looking
car
forward
on
to seeing that.
Sunday. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they have to talk about, because not much has gone on through the first 12 weeks of the season, so I have no idea what they're going to be talking about. But thank you so much for joining us. And again, no Bills this week. So Ryan, who are you? Which matchup are you most looking forward to watching?
I mean, if we would have done the show last night, I would have said this one. I would have said Pittsburgh Cleveland, because I love these divisional games where there's a chance for ugly weather. I think right now, I think that San Francisco Green Bay game is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and especially in that weather. Ooh, nice throw there by Winston across the middle to Judy. So yeah, I like that San Francisco Green Bay game. I think that'll be fun. There's rooting interest for Buffalo. You want to kind of see San Francisco get beat up a little bit in that one, if the Green Bay Packers can pull it off. So, but I think that could be a sneaky fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that.
But let's be realistic, Joe. It's going to be a red zone weekend. It's going to be a red zone weekend.
That's right. You watch red zone all weekend. Well, that's kind of the fun of when, like, at 4:00. See, and listen, this is where again the ticket is kind of beneficial. So they do have like that split screen, right? So come 4:00, I will definitely have the split screen, have all 3 games on or 4 games on, and be watching it all through the 4:00 hour. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys look forward to it too. Talk to you all soon. We'll see you all next week. Until we do, go Bills.
Go Bills.